Therapy is expensive. I'll just talk to ChatGPT instead. Therapy is expensive. I'll just go to the gym instead. Therapy is expensive. I'll just listen to Taylor Swift instead. So I've been meaning to make this video for years now, but I just know people will take it out of context and make it sound like something I'm not saying. So I was scared, but I have already been cancelled so many times, so I'm just going to be honest and be authentic on my channel. So, hi, I'm Divijabhasin. I'm a counseling psychologist and a creator. I also have a therapy organization called The Friendly Couch, where I have a team of therapists that offer therapy to people. Why am I telling you this? Actually, why am I even making this video? Well, because I've been working in this field for the past 6 years now, and I've observed a lot of things that I've never said anywhere on the internet. Can you guess what the most common DM is that I get on my page? No, it's not inappropriate pictures by men. I actually don't get any of those. It's actually, do you offer free sessions? And I have a lot to say on this from a therapist perspective and also a feminist perspective. So let's get into it. First of all, we need to understand what exactly is therapy. There are a lot of misconceptions about it. So let's try to understand what therapy is through these misconceptions. Some people think that therapists just sit and listen to you. Therapists do sit and listen to you, obviously, but they do more than just that. We also work with you to analyze your problems, your patterns, your environment, your childhood, your history, and help you get clarity on things that may be haunting you or hurting you. I'll give you an example. So, if a client comes to me and the presenting concern is that they are in a toxic relationship and it's hurting their heart, it's breaking their heart, what we'll do is we'll work together to try to understand if the relationship is toxic because of the client or because of the partner or because of both or because of some third factor or all of these things. We'll also discuss their previous relationships, not just romantic, but like family relationships, friendships, other romantic relationships that they may have had. We'll try to notice any patterns that they may have that are contributing to the hurt in this current relationship. Then we'll also look at what's in the client's control and what's not in their control. We'll also dig deeper into how the pain from this current relationship is affecting other parts of their life. And then finally, we'll discuss what options they have to reduce this hurt. And I'll do this while having empathy for the client and also keeping them accountable for places where they are wrong. It's quite difficult to maintain this balance, like being able to balance the empathy and validation that you give to a client at the same time making sure that they're actually working on themselves and not just flowing with the empathy and thinking that they're the best person ever. Because sometimes problems happen not just because of other people, but also because of your own self. A therapist doesn't just start giving advice and tell you, oh, just leave the relationship. That's something that your best friend might say, but your therapist will never say that. Because the only person that knows what's best for you is you, and a therapist knows that. They just help you get there. And this is why you need a professional for this work. You need to study psychology and have experience before you start dealing with clients. Now, this is just a small example of what therapy is like, and of course, therapy can go in a variety of ways according to the person and the situations that they may come with. But you get what I mean, I hope. ChatGPT cannot replace therapy, nor can listening to Taylor Swift or going to the gym, because research has repeatedly shown that what heals in therapy is not the techniques or methods that a therapist follows. Of course, they do play some role, but the main thing that heals is the relationship that you have with your therapist, where they provide you with that unconditional positive regard, at the same time keeping you accountable and helping you change. And this relationship cannot be replaced by anything because it can only be recreated with a professional human being, a person who has worked for years to study and gain skills to maintain this relationship with their clients. It also helps because your therapist is a complete stranger, which is why your friends cannot replace a therapist. Your friends will always have some sort of bias against you, and it will be a personal bias because they have known you from the past. That is bound to create some bias in their mind about you. Some people think that all therapists do is shove medicines down your throat. But that is not true. There are psychologists and then there are psychiatrists. Anyone who gives therapy is a therapist, and that usually refers to the psychologists. Psychiatrists, on the other hand, are medical doctors who provide medicines for disorders. Psychologists are usually the ones who do therapy. They cannot give medicines. I'm writing down the qualifications on this screen so you can have a look at them. By the way, the regulations in India for psychology keep changing, even though they don't actually start the regulations, they just give out random information and then never work on it. But You might be watching this in the future when the regulations have changed, so maybe the qualifications will be different, so don't mind if they don't match the current qualifications. Anyway, a lot of people think that therapists just give medicines because most people in India end up going to psychiatrists rather than psychologists because they think that all therapists are doctors and should be doctors. But the problem with this is that the main form of treatment that psychiatrists practice is giving medications. So, obviously, if you go to a doctor who gives medications, you will not be getting therapy, you will get medication. And you know how there's stigma to go to therapists in India? That type of stigma exists in the field of psychiatry as well. So, a lot of psychiatrists will not refer you to psychologists because they think therapy is just listening because they haven't studied it and are not aware of the benefits of therapy. They think that only medication will help. Of course, there are a lot of psychiatrists who recognize the importance of therapy and they might refer you to a psychologist if they believe that you don't need medication. Usually, people don't know that psychiatrists are different from psychologists, and that's why this whole medication misconception exists. Not all people who go for therapy need medication. As a side note, there is nothing wrong if you do need medication. For example, if you have clinical anxiety or schizophrenia or a disorder, you may need medication for life. And this medication is necessary for your basic functioning. And that's okay. It's like how some people have thyroid problems and you end up being on medication forever because of that. It's the same thing. There's nothing wrong with taking medication. There's another misconception that psychologists will manipulate you into taking more sessions so that they keep making money. First of all, psychology doesn't teach you how to manipulate people. It's not like we have a textbook called Introduction to Manipulation, that rhymes, or like Manipulation Tactics 101. You can't teach someone manipulation. And there are as many bad therapists as there are bad doctors, bad lawyers, bad accountants, bad plumbers, bad electricians. There will be bad people in every field. That doesn't mean that all psychiatrists are bad or that all psychologists are bad. The goal of therapy is actually to make the client stop taking therapy. That's what therapists work with you for you to stop taking therapy in the end. Some people also think that psychologists read minds or do some mind control thing. We don't. We cannot read minds. Therapists can't do magic. We're not witches. We're just normal people with a set of professional skills that other people don't have. Now, coming to the cost of therapy. I have a theory. I think most people who say that therapy is expensive are influenced by what they have heard from Americans. American people constantly talk about how expensive therapy is for them. Now, therapy is a very advanced profession in the US and in a lot of Western countries. There, therapists are given a lot of respect and recognition for the work that they do, unlike in India where we're just treated like nothing. Anyway, they have a very well organized qualification system for being a therapist over there, unlike India. In India, we don't even have a license for being a therapist, nor do we have any body which regulates how we work. People can just do anything in this field and not be held accountable for wrong things that they may do. There is no set of ethics that therapists in India have to follow. There is no specific standardized set of ethics because nobody is regulating the field here. Outside India, there's a whole certification system, licensing system. There is a lot of things you have to do, a lot of costs that you have. And that's why therapy there is expensive because it's a fully developed field. And because American people keep saying that therapy is expensive, it has become a common narrative. Indian people are actually very influenced by what American people say because that's what mainstream media is. It's very American. But the thing is, in India, the therapy scene is really different. We barely even had options for therapy till a few years ago. In India, there's barely any real qualified therapists. And the reasons for that are many, which I can discuss in another video if you want me to make it. But basically, it's a lot to do with the stigma, the fact that there's no regulations, there's no money in this field, no investment, no funding, nothing. A lot of people think that in India there is no concept of mental health, but that's not true. We just see it in a different way compared to Western people. For example, your parents might not say that they're suffering from anxiety. Instead, they'll say ghabrahat ho rahi hai. That ghabrahat is actually anxiety. When there are more extreme forms of mental illness in India, people think that the person is possessed, so they'll take them to babas who'll hit them with a broom and be like, okay, done, give me 50,000 rupees now. Or they'll take them to some other baba who will be like kuch, kuch, kuch on their head and then be like, here, give me 1 lakh, the mental illness is gone now. So mental health as a concept is the thing in India. It's just that we don't have the concept of mental health care. It's mental health hitting with a broom. Now, in the US, therapy on average costs around 15,000 to 30,000 rupees per session. And that is a lot, which is why American people say that it's expensive. But in India, the average cost of therapy ranges from 500 rupees to maybe 3,000 rupees per session. Of course, there are people who charge above that and people who charge below that as well, but that's the average cost. Now, you may think that I'm saying that therapy is not expensive in India just because it ranges from 500 to 3,000 rupees. That is also expensive for a lot of people, right? First, we need to talk about what expensive even is. We often think that expensive refers to the cost, like the actual money a person is charging. But it doesn't. Cost is just one aspect of it. It doesn't just include how much a person earns and spends. It also includes how valuable the consumer finds the product. Yes, therapy is a product and the clients are consumers of it. Because therapy is a service that is being offered by professionals and people are paying money for it in exchange. I know there's a lot of stigma around money in therapy, but therapy is a business and we have to see it like that. It is not charity. Even charity is business because money is involved even in charity. Now, in India, there's a lot of stigma about therapy. People don't know what it is, and there is no push from the government to talk about it or create awareness about it or even develop it. And therapy companies in India don't really advertise in such a big way. I mean, have you ever seen billboards about therapy in India? Or have you ever seen therapy being mentioned in articles in the newspaper? No, right? That means that therapy is not normalized in India. Like, it's not normal to see it around you. I use this advertisement point because advertisements actually teach you about the product that they're selling. The value of the product is taught through marketing. Because this field is just starting in India right now. It's not a huge industry. So you won't see that many huge therapy brands because there aren't any. Nor do the investors of the current brands invest that much money into therapy because they don't know what the return will be. Now, theek hai, you don't see that many advertisements about it, that's fine, but you also don't see people talking about it because it's a deeply personal thing, and also because if you talk about it, there's a lot of judgment. But because people are scared to say that they're going for therapy, other people don't hear that they are going for therapy, and that increases the stigma and makes people think that nobody is going for therapy when that's not even the truth. A lot of people in India from different social backgrounds are actually very open to therapy. That is what I've noticed as a therapist and also as a creator. Coming back to it being expensive, yeah, it can seem expensive, but coaching classes also seem expensive to a lot of people. But people save up lakhs of rupees to send their children for those classes. Huge weddings are also really expensive, but in India, it's actually a norm to have a huge wedding and spend your entire life savings on it. iPhones are also really expensive, but people go out of their way to buy them. And people of all social and economic backgrounds do these things. So you see, it's not just about money, it's also about how much you're willing to spend on that product. I'm not saying that people shouldn't spend their money on weddings and coaching classes. I'm talking more about priorities, that the priorities of people are different. They're just not therapy. And that's also because they're not aware of it. People spend lakhs of rupees talking to astrologers, to babas, to random uncles about their mental health, to life coaches who are not qualified, without realizing that what they're looking for is therapy, not astrology. For example, a lot of people go to astrologists to understand why they're not able to find a partner. Unpopular opinion, but the answer of that is not in the stars, it's in you. But it's not the fault of the people in our country for being unaware, it's just that our field is too new. There is also another reason why people think therapy is expensive in India. And this needs to be discussed from a feminist perspective. So, what I find interesting is that most people ask me, do you offer free sessions? They don't ask me, are your sessions affordable? Or how much discount do you give for your sessions? Or what is the cost of your sessions? They just assume it's expensive. They don't even look at the actual cost of it. They want it to be free. They don't want it to be cheaper. They want it free of cost. They want to pay no money for it. That's because they don't think it's worth spending money on. It's not because they don't don't have the money for it. It's because either them or their parents or the person who's supposed to pay for it doesn't think it's worth spending money on. They think that therapy should be free. And when they see a therapist charging money or treating therapy as a business, they think that therapist is bad. I'm sure you felt uncomfortable when I called therapy a product and the clients consumers in the previous section of this video. Interestingly, a lot of people think that therapy is expected to be free because it's a woman led profession. That means not many men work in it. And we know that's because of patriarchy, because men are not supposed to be emotional and therapy involves emotions. So, how can men be in this field? Now, because therapy is a woman led profession, we expect free labor from them. We see our mothers working really hard in the kitchen without asking anything in return. We see wives sacrificing their whole lives for their husbands' careers. None of these women take money for the work that they do for the men. Mothers and wives don't take money for the care that they provide to their family members. On the other hand, men in the family are getting paid for the care that they provide to the family. They're going out for work, they're getting paid for the work that they do. They're getting something in return. It's not a selfless activity. We're used to seeing women being selfless, and that's why we expect them to always be selfless, even in their careers. We expect them to endlessly sacrifice their entire lives in the name of love. And it's the same in therapy. Therapy is not love, but it's a way to support someone, right? A lot of people also say that therapy is a necessity and that's why it should be free. Yeah, I agree, but think about water. We pay for water, it's not free, and it's more of a necessity than therapy. But we don't attach any morals to it. We don't think that the CEO of Bisleri is an unethical man for charging money for water, for seeing water as a business. Can you guess why we don't shame him for earning money? We always shame women for charging money, for earning money, but we don't shame men for the same thing. Now I know what you're thinking. I'm some big bad monster who just wants to earn money and that's why I'm making this video. How can I say that therapy shouldn't be free? That there are obviously people who can't afford therapy, poor people, children, people without an income. But I still stand by what I said. Therapy should not be free. And what I mean is that therapists must always get paid for the work that they do. Because therapy is work. It is a job. It is a career. Nobody pursues a career to not earn money. Why would anyone be motivated to study a minimum of like 5 years only to be told you're not going to get paid for it? That it's wrong to ask for money for the work that you're providing. Ironically, to be able to offer free therapy as a therapist, you actually need to be really privileged. Because therapists also have to pay bills and have a life. So if they're not charging for their sessions, they need to have money from elsewhere. And that's usually the money of their partner or their family. I'm a strong believer that therapists should earn money. They don't, which is why this field doesn't grow. Nobody wants to join or invest in a field where there is no money. That is the harsh truth. And fair enough, because nothing in life is ever free. If you're doing something, if you're giving a lot of yourself to something, you need something in return. Otherwise, it's just toxic because you're just endlessly giving as a person and you're not getting anything back. No product in the world is free. Your conversations with ChatGPT are not free. Please remember, if something is free, you are the product. ChatGPT earns by selling your conversations to brands. They're selling your depression and your mental illness, so brands can sell you products that are appropriate for your mental illness. Therapy can only be free if the government is funding it. If big organizations are funding it for their employees. If schools and colleges are funding it for their students. That's the only way therapy should be free. I say free because it's not technically free, right? Because the therapist is still getting paid. And this brings us back to how people don't value it and therefore don't want to pay money for it. That includes the government. They're not subsidizing therapy because they don't want to pay for it. They don't see any benefit in it. Therapy is not free because people with money do not see any benefit to investing in it. So, does that mean that people who can't access therapy have no hope? Can therapy actually never be replaced by anything else? Not in the way you think. Healing can be done in different ways. Therapy just heals in a way that nothing else can. For example, if you went through a really bad breakup and you end up going to the gym, you refocus your energies from the breakup to yourself, to your fitness. And that might help you feel better. It might even help you get over your breakup. On the other hand, if you went to therapy for this, it would help you change your patterns and improve your future relationships, make you more self aware, and work on problems that you didn't even know existed inside you. So, you see, both things are healing, but they're different. It's kind of like if you're thirsty, you can have soap and it will make you not dehydrated, but nothing can replace water. Ranting to ChatGPT will feel like relief because you're taking things out of your system, and that can feel healing. And it is healing to some extent. But ChatGPT cannot understand you because ChatGPT is not a human being. You cannot form a human connection with ChatGPT. It will only be a connection with a machine. But that doesn't mean that ranting to ChatGPT will not help you feel a little better. So, my opinion is that heal in whatever way you can with whatever resources you have. It is not your fault that you were born in a place and a time where therapy isn't as accessible as it should be. At the same time, you should be aware that nothing can replace therapy. I wish therapy was more accessible to everyone. But I also wish that therapists weren't shamed for earning money. I just know the comment section of this video is going to be full of people shaming me for even suggesting that it's okay for therapists to want money, to earn money, to charge for their therapy sessions. And that will just be proof of every single point that I have raised in this video. But this is not an individual problem, it's a systemic problem, it's a political problem, it's an economic problem. And fixing the whole system is going to be a long process and it's going to take so many years. I don't even know if in my lifetime I'll get to see therapy being normalized in India. I can't single handedly fix it. And I wish I was so rich that I would be able to offer free sessions to people while also paying the therapist on my team, but I can't do that. The only thing I can do is start conversations around therapy, around mental health, around culture, and that's what I do with my content. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked and understood what I was trying to say. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay, bye.